We love this guy, Mark Schlereth. Stink is with us here. He has a new podcast, Stinkin' Truth. Of course, it's Stinkin' Truth. He does the morning shows in Denver. He's doing games for Fox. Stop fucking working so much, Schlereth. What are you doing?
Listen, man, I gotta support my family's spending habits, so I gotta keep working.
We all do, man.
Have the grandkids figured it out yet?
What's that?
I'm gonna pick it up. Have the grandkids figured it out yet? Where to get the money from?
Oh yeah. Listen, man. This is honestly good. I don't know what this says about me. Probably it's not good. But we were in Tampa, and my wife wanted to take Christmas pictures. Now we just do it with the grandkids. And my grandkids are now. My oldest granddaughter is 12. Then I've got a 9, and then I got a 4. And they're like, they don't want to do it. It's like my son. He doesn't want to be taken. He wants no part of pictures. And so they're complaining and pissing and moaning. And I'm trying to do some work. I'm trying to study and prep my game. I had New England, Cleveland last week. So I'm in the kitchen trying to prep my game. And they're, like I said, they're pissing and moaning. They don't want to go. And my wife is asking and begging. And I just open up my wall and go, you go, guy, if you go and do it without complaining, each of you gets $100. And I pulled out $300. I go, here you go, here you go, here you go. And they're like, they went to go take these pictures. They couldn't wait. So yeah, that's why I'm working still. Yeah, they figured it out. They know exactly what's going on.
I mean, money solves problems, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Mark, I'm wondering, did you think Bo Nix would be this good coming out of college?
Listen, I thought he was one of my favorite guys, and I knew the Broncos were going to take a quarterback, so I studied them all coming out. Drake May, I studied Jaden Daniels, I studied, Caleb Williams, but Bo Nix. Bo Nix was one of my top 2 guys that I liked. I liked Jaden a lot, and I liked Bo a lot. And Caleb was really iffy for me. I didn't really care for him as much. And then Drake was one of those guys that was intriguing, but coming out of college, I wasn't quite sure. But Bo didn't take sacks, threw the ball on time with accuracy underneath, did a lot of things that I really liked about him coming out. And it's been I thought he was going to be good. I didn't think he'd be this good, and this early, but he's been pretty good. And the crazy thing, he's got very much like Drake May. He's still got so much room to grow. Right. And I said this on the broadcast as I was doing New England, Cleveland on Sunday. I was like, hey, it's time to stop calling Drake May a good young quarterback and just call him one of the best quarterbacks. He's just playing at that level right now. So it's been fun to watch the progression of 2 young guys really kind of getting it early in their careers.
What Super Bowl teams look like. You've won 3 of them. Does this Bronco team, to you, Mark, does it look like a Super Bowl ready team?
I wouldn't go quite that far. I mean, last week against Dallas, Dallas's defense is awful. And, Jerry Jones was talking about, Micah Parsons and, hey, he wouldn't defend the run. They're the worst run defend team in football. How'd that Kenny Clark thing work out for you guys? They're awful. And so, the Broncos, if you looked at their going into the game against the Cowboys, if you looked at their last 12 quarters, they played 2 good quarters of offense of their last 12 quarters going into that game. So they were god awful for 10 of 12 quarters. Last week they were really good, but and listen, man, everybody plays professional football. I get it, but the Dallas Cowboys are not a very good defense. So I think you can gain confidence off of that. I think you can gain a lot of stuff off of that. But for me, I still look at it like, okay, do it against a really good team. You do it in Houston this weekend, who's got an outstanding defense, then we can have a different conversation.
Are you certain the Jets are playing professional football?
Hey, listen, man, they had a great comeback. They had a great comeback last week. So, but no, it's debatable right now. Woody Johnson says it's debatable. By the way, Woody Johnson, dude. I don't even want to get into Woody. But anyhow, whatever.
No, get into it. I want to hear what your thoughts on
No,
Woody Johnson.
I mean, you come out and lambaste it, like you lambaste the quarterback. You're not even around practice. You're not even there. I mean, I know he shows up in his helicopter occasionally, but I was in Florham Park the other day, and he was nowhere to be found.
Go ahead, Taylor.
Mark, you mentioned awful before, and on the topic of awful, those Steelers throwback uniforms. How many people do you think are going to Pittsburgh games and buying those jerseys?
So bad.
That seriously isn't that the principle of throwback jerseys is to actually have people buy them? Like there's nobody like that. As soon as I saw that jersey, it reminded me of changing diapers when I was a young father, and it just was mustard. It was just mustard baby shit. Like that was that's the look you're going for. You conquered it. You nailed it. I can't imagine anybody going, man, I got to get me one of them throwbacks. Meanwhile, in Denver, man, they had the old Denver throwback jerseys and helmets, and it was awesome. And I loved it. And then Pittsburgh, what? Just because you wore that in 1939 doesn't mean that's the one you got to bring back. It doesn't.
Don't throw back so far. I mean,
right.
Yes. You would be okay if Denver stayed in those uniforms, right?
I would love it. I would love it. I love those old uniforms. I love the D on the helmet with a horse snorting, it just is. I love those uniforms. I love those colors. I would love to see them make that their primary and have whatever it is they switch to. And I was here for that switch in 1997. You can go back to being that your throwback uniform.
Because no one pays attention to the offensive line. I say this all the time. We have no idea what we're watching on Sunday and how important the offensive line is to the success of a football team. Who do you think has the best offensive line in football right now?
That's a great question. I mean, I think Detroit is outstanding. What they do is outstanding. I think, the Philadelphia Eagles, when healthy, they're an outstanding group. I think what probably doesn't get mentioned enough, we always look at sacks. And so I've got Jacksonville. So I looked at I looked at just the first half of the game in London, and I'm digging through the film the rest of the day and tomorrow. But the first 3 sacks given up in the game against the Rams, none of them would be credited to the offensive line. Not one. They'd be credited to the quarterback who takes a 3-step drop and decides not to throw it to the wide open guy he's designed to throw it to, and ends up taking a sack. One, he rolls out of bounds about 4 yards short of the first down marker, and he steps out of bounds without. Like, if I was playing offensive line for him, I would thunder punch him on top of the head. Like, you just cost us a sack. And we're going to be the ones that everybody says this offensive line sucks. Throw the freaking ball away. No, instead of being 2nd down and 10 on an incomplete pass, now we're 2nd down and 14. So you've made our jobs that much harder, and you've credited us with a sack. And the 3rd sack in that first half was purely a coverage sack. Like, nobody could get open. And so, but we tend to look at that and go, wow, this offensive line really sucks. The other thing about that is your play caller. You want to talk about sacks. Sacks, to me, in the NFL have become more of a quarterback-driven statistic and a play caller statistic. And so if you give up a lot of sacks as an offense, a lot of it has to do with the guy calling plays. You have got to give me the tools to be successful. When I coach or when I talk to or when I consult with teams, I always talk about taking the passive out of pass protection. So how do you give us the opportunity to be aggressive and not to just sit there and get beat on? And that has a lot of that has to do with who the play caller is, and people don't understand that aspect of the game.
Speaking of sacks, you called Patriots Browns this weekend. Myles Garrett had 5 sacks, but everybody feels bad for him because they pulled him out at the end of the game and he sat on the bench. Do you feel bad for him considering he kind of chose to stay there signing that big contract?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't feel bad for him, but I did get in with a both of these joke.
That's all that matters. Right.
I gotta tell you. So wait a minute now. You guys are gonna love this. Okay. So I'm sitting in this meeting with Myles Garrett, and he's talking about listening to classical music. And he said, "Hey, listen, man, I like to read about like famous warriors, and the art of war and all this stuff." And I was like, "It's really interesting. Who's your favorite all-time warrior?" And he goes, "Oh, it's got to be Achilles." And about Achilles. I go, "Oh man, I love the story about his twin brother Bophdes." And he looked at me, he goes, "Bophdes?" He goes, "Yeah, you've never heard of this Bophdes, his twin brother?" And he goes, "No, I've never heard of that." I go, "Oh, it's a great story." So, the mother dipped Achilles in the river Styx by his heels, right, and pulled him out as a baby. And she took his twin brother Bophdes by the testicles and dipped him in the river Styx. And I go, so everybody knows about the story of the Achilles heel, but very few know about Bophdes' nuts.
He's laughing. He can't. He's laughing at his own story.
Myles Garrett almost fell out of his chair. He was laughing so hard. And I was like a proud father. Like the rest of the meeting, I didn't give a shit. I don't care about anything else. Like,
yeah, sure,
so
football.
This is how my production meetings go. I dropped the Bophdes nuts joke, and I'm like, "I'm out of here, everybody. Good night. I'll be there tomorrow for the game." It was one of my proudest moments ever.
Your grandfather. I mean,
yeah. What are you supposed to do? That's a good one. That is a good one.
Oh my God. What'd you make of his comments after the game? I give all 5 back for a meaningless win. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah. No, you just went to the Pro Bowl on one game. You were going anyhow, but you went from Pro Bowler to all pro. And so here's a case. This is an example of exactly what we just talked about. This is a great example of what we just talked about with protection and how people don't understand what goes on. Right. So they're double teaming. Like every one of those sacks was a double team sack. But what they were doing was lining up the tight end to his side. And because he plays a wide 9 technique, the tight end was out there a little bit away from the tackle. So the tight end would hit him 1,000 release, and then the tackle would try to pick him up. So it wasn't effectively a real double team. It was 2 guys blocking him, but at different times. So it was really defeating 2 single teams. You know what I'm saying? Instead of icing him and having the tight end and the offensive tackle on him at the same time, it was let's block him with our tight end for 1 second, and then the tight end releases, and then the tackle picks him up. So he was defeating 2 one-on-one blocks because they were at different levels. So once he beat the tight end, now he's one-on-one with the tackle, and the tackle's, butthole is puckered up because he's like, "Oh my God, this guy's incredible." And then he's just making moves on the tackle. So, like, to me, I looked at that and go, man, that's just a shitty way to protect. And again, you gave up 5 sacks doing something to me that's unsound. And so, obviously the tackle, Will Campbell, who I think is going to be a all-pro young player. He's a really good player. Everybody's going to say, "Oh, he got his ass whooped and he was horrible." And he did. But it was really, to me, piss poor, just kind of a piss poor plan to block Myles Garrett.
Mark, what's a thunder punch to the head look like? Like, can you describe that? Like, I've never heard that term before, a thunder punch to the head.
Yeah, you just come right over the top and you just get on the top of the head and it shortens the guy's neck, right? And it just is a stunner. It's like when you ever go fishing and you got the one little billy club and you get the fish out, it's on the thing and you try to hold it. I mean, you hit it on top of the head and, it does that. That's what a thunder punch to the top of the head looks like.
Perfect lead into my question, because Mark, when I do think of you, I think of hard nose, that smash mouth, roll your sleeve up type football. So I'm curious, how are you adjusting to a world making 60-plus yard field goals with ease?
Oh yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, the chip shots
it
now.
is.
Right.
It is annoying. They got to do something about that, right?
Yeah.
First off, these guys don't do anything. The kickers are campus leavers.
Right.
The rest of us are busting our ass, and you're miserable, and your back hurts, and your fingers and hands are, swollen and cut up, and your elbows are aching, and your knees hurt. And these guys are playing Papa Shot and then leaving the McDonald's to get a burger while everybody else is in a meeting. My level of disdain for punters and kickers. And at least in my day, the deep snappers weren't specialists. You had to play another position. You had to actually contribute to the team. Now they don't touch those guys either. They're not allowed to get into practice, right? They're not, we can't, our precious deep snapper, we can't have that guy actually do anything else. So the three of those guys are like the three amigos goofing around, having punting contests. It's so you walk and I just get like, I'm at a practice facility every week, right? So I'm standing on the sideline watching practice, and then I'm watching the punters and the kickers, and they're having the greatest time ever. The deep snappers, and like I said, they're like doing little like, hey, let's get over here and we'll throw this ball, see who can get closest to this pad or whatever. And you're like, I hate all of you with the white hot intensity of 1,000 suns. I just like to eliminate kicking. Let's just call it what it is. It's, let's get rid of it and we move on.
Put it on the bowl, Taylor. Should we get rid of kicking? I'm with him on that. Go ahead, Mikey.
This weekend, you've got Jaguars at the Raiders, and I've asked this of a lot of people. I still haven't gotten a good enough answer. Is Trevor Lawrence good?
No idea. I have no idea.
Right now, no, he's not. And dude, there are like, when you watch this, nobody sees this, right? So I'm not going to get myself in trouble before I go call this game and sit down with Trevor Lawrence.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, nobody's going to. Okay,
nobody's going to be seeing this.
You'll be good. No one. I mean, literally no one. Yes, you're good. Yes.
So
safest place. This is the safest space in media right here.
Right. Yeah. So like the inconsistency is like really, it's really troubling. Like he will go through a series where he is lights out. I mean, he is on point, on time, on target. And then the very next series, he will dirt 3 balls and throw one over somebody's head. And you're just watching going, are you sure you're right-handed? Like, it's like, how did this happen? Like, how did you get to the point where this is so out of kilter? And so that consistency thing is what he is, I know that he's working on. I've talked to him about it. I've talked to Liam Cohen about it. He's big. He's physical. He's got all the tools in the world. It's just a lack of overall consistency. And like I said, man, he'll have a series or two where you're like, oh, he's got it, man. He figured it out. And then he'll have a series where it's just like, dude, you can't, like, that's just unacceptable. And so it's that inconsistency. Now I'll give him a break with a bunch of different coordinators and head coaches that I don't think he probably got coached really well, but Liam Cohen's a damn good coach. Mm-hmm. And so he's getting good coaching. It's time to kind of pick up your game and become consistent.
He's going up against Geno Smith, which reminds me of one of my favorite Mark Schlereth stories, which was you and I were working the draft the year that Geno Smith got drafted. And we were into the 3rd round, and we had stopped talking about all the picks. And for some reason, some lineman got picked, and Dari Noka, who was calling the draft, turned to you and asked about this random lineman. He was out of like Tulsa. And he goes, Mark, what do you see out of him? And you had done absolutely zero study. And all you did was look up at the highlights of him. They were showing on the big screen. You said, well, he had great punch the time he played that purple team. And I still to this day think it was one of the best analysis I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. I was like, hey man, his footwork coming off the ball, when he goes to the left. Like, I like the first step. Second step was a little too big sometimes. And then when he gets into pass pro, against the purple team, really shoots his hands and fires it well. So I think he could be a great player.
By the way, when you walk into your meeting, it's such a good story. And he has another good story, a Kevin Costner story at the end of this, because that's where we left off with Stink 2 years ago when he joined us.
But you need to hear it.
But you're in a safe zone. You can walk into Trevor Lawrence into that meeting before the game and just say, "Hey, man, you're fucking awesome." You don't know a thing. You'll be fine. Okay.
All right. Good. I'm glad we clarified that.
Yes, you're safe. Caleb Williams. It feels like he's treading. He's going down like the Trevor Lawrence kind of career path. Where sometimes I feel like he's great, and other times I feel like the guy can't play quarterback at all. What are your thoughts on Caleb?
Yeah, I've talked to the head coach. I've talked to Ben several times just about kind of that process and that transition. And, I do think that he's getting better, but I think that there have been so many bad habits that have been created over time. Like, as a college quarterback, there's a lot of things that you do that aren't necessarily transferable to the NFL. And so one of the reasons that I was very leery about Caleb Williams coming out, and I ended up digging a small sample size. I dug pretty hard through 3 games. And that's kind of how I do it, because I'm just doing it for local radio. I'm not covering the draft for any network. So I'm just kind of digging through. And like, what wins in the National Football League is boring. That's what wins. Like, I'm sitting down with Byron Leftwich when he was the offense coordinator with Tampa Bay and Tom Brady was playing. And I said to him, what sets Tom Brady apart besides the devastatingly handsome, eyes? By the way, I met Tom Brady. I'm calling a game. I'm all over the place, but Tom Brady, and I'm walking down the hallway. They have the whole thing shut off because he just enters the stadium, right? So we're in the corridor, and I just leave in a camera meeting. So I always go and talk to the camera guys about how I see the game and stuff. So I'm walking down the hallway one way, and he's coming down solo the other way. And we're going to meet in the middle of the hallway at some point. And so we meet in the middle of the hallway, and we embrace like a big hug, and we literally go cheek to cheek.
Wow.
Like, he puts his cheek on my cheek.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, forget the little blue pill. I just figured out the cure for ED, because I was like, I was ready to go. That dude is beautiful.
Congratulations.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm talking to Byron Leftwich.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, what makes him so special other than the devastatingly handsome good looks? And he says to me, he goes, hey, man, if we're running day one concept like curl flat, and the first read in that progression is the flat, and it's open for a 5-yard gain, he takes it 100 out of 100 times and puts us into 2nd down and 5. And it never varies. And the problem with a lot of young quarterbacks is that's not good enough. I want to make a Sports Center highlight. So they scramble around and they hold on to the ball. And, the next thing you know, their second receiver or their third receiver is way better than the third corner of the other team. And they throw one deep and it's a touchdown, and it's a Sports Center highlight. And everybody gets excited about it. And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Well, when you get to the NFL, that's a sack. That's a strip sack fumble. Like, you can't do that. And so it's like the Kyler Murray in Arizona. Like, do you want to be a professional quarterback, or do you want to be a professional highlight reel?
Right.
Like, that's the question you asked, right? And so the scrambling around and trying to make Sports Center highlights is cool, and you'll make some plays and they'll be exciting, but you'll lose the majority of your games that you play that way. It's got to be on schedule. It's got to be on time, and it's got to be boring. And that's what wins in the NFL at the quarterback position.
Have you washed that cheek since Brady touched your cheek with his cheek? Have you washed it?
I didn't wash it for a very long time.
Smart.
But but I did eventually wash it. And but I'm telling you what, it was
The moment.
it was the biggest thrill for me of my last probably 12 years in life in general. That's the biggest thrill.
Before we get to the Costner story, tell us about the Stinking Truth podcast.
Oh yeah, man. 3 days a week. You find me on YouTube, the Stinking Truth podcast. Just, talking, telling stories, talking. Well, actually right now I do 4 weeks. I do a leftovers too. So a leftovers podcast of the game I just called. So I did a leftovers podcast. It'll drop later on today, just about New England and about Cleveland and kind of what I saw from that game and some of the things that coaches told me that maybe we didn't get in the broadcast. So that, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, break down the games on Monday, talk about storylines on Wednesday and Friday, kind of break down the games coming up.
So 2 years ago we had you on, and before we just ran out of time. And I was telling Stu about the Kevin Costner story, and we never got it. So here we are 2 years later. We've teased it for 2 years.
And he tried to tell me the actual story. And I said, Mikey, don't tell me the story.
I couldn't even come close to it. So, so give us the Kevin Costner story.
Okay, so Kevin Costner gets done, wins an Academy Award, dances with wolves, and he comes to he's a big sports fan, so he comes to a Redskins practice on a Friday. And after practice, he says something to the team. I was, me, I wasn't listening. Whatever he said, who cares? And I go back inside, take my stuff off, and myself, Jimmy Lachey, and Ralph Tam, we had a kind of shoulders and arms routine on Friday that we did. So, Monday you do a workout, Wednesday you do a workout, and Friday. So we're doing our workout, and Kevin Costner was rolling around, talking to people, taking pictures. So he comes down to the weight room. We're all in there, and I say something kind of snarky I think is funny. I have this propensity to really piss off Hollywood elites because I'll say something that I think is funny, and they don't necessarily share my sense of humor. So I say something and he doesn't really respond, and we take a picture, and I think to myself, all right, whatever. And so anyhow, I go upstairs after my workout and strip down, grab my towel, and in the old Redskins facility, the showers were down this hallway. It was probably a 10-foot wide hallway, and the showers were probably 20 feet down outside the locker room. So I walk down to the showers, I take a shower. I shaved on Friday, so I shave. I come out of the shower, and I take a left to head back to the locker room, and here comes Kevin Costner with an entourage of people and the photographer walking out of the locker room. So we're going to meet at about 10 feet, halfway down this hallway. And so as we're walking close and we get right next to each other, I'm just in a towel. That's all I'm in. And I said, hey, Kevin. And he said, yeah. And I said, let me get one naked with you. And I dropped my towel and put my arm around him in just like this bear hug. And he squirms out just down the hallway. And all his people are looking at me like, what just happened, right? I'm just a big old standing there butt ass naked, 295 pounds. And I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever done. I'm howling, laughing as I'm standing there butt ass naked, and he's running down the hallway, and his handlers are following. Like, it's gonna be okay, Kevin. He didn't violate you, did he? And I was like, I just bebopped back in the locker room, the biggest grin on my face. I'm like, that's the funniest thing that's ever happened. Yes. And so anyhow, that's my Kevin Costner story.
Right, until the Myles Garrett story. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
That was good.
Hey, I've got a gift.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Pissing people off.
My gift is pissing off famous people. I'm good at it.
The Stinking Truth podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Denver Morning Show as well. Fox Sports will be at the Raiders Jaguars this weekend, calling that game. He's doing a lot. He's staying away from the family. He's a smart man.
Yes, exactly.
Stink, we appreciate it. It was well worth the 2-year wait to get that Kevin Costner story. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. You guys be well. We'll talk to you in another 2 years.
Okay. No one will be listening still. Don't worry about it.
All right, good.